Whereas Kazir and Ghazal were referred to as the best among us by the late U.S. Senator John McCain. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Broward County, Florida, that the board hereby designates Saturday, January 25th, 2020 as Ghazala and Kazir Khan Appreciation Day in Broward County, Florida. We honor you, sir, and your family. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Dale, and everybody. Without delay, I would like to invite our main guest, Khizar Khan, who can speak to us.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. May Allah's peace be with you. First, I'm so humbled and so honored to be standing before you. But before I share more thoughts, first, I would like to pay our sincere thanks and gratitude to all our veterans and their families. Our thanks to men and women serving in uniform, members of law enforcement, and our elected officials and their families. Thank you for your service. Thank you very much. We just commemorated Martin Luther King Day. I wish to share a few words of his, especially to our elected officials and our candidates that are running for the office. He reminded us, and please pay attention to because it applies to all of us today under the current circumstances. He reminded us the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moment of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at time of challenge and controversy. So thanks to our elected officials, your leadership, thanks to our candidates for seeking the office to serve this state, this county, and this country. We are grateful. My love affair with the US Constitution started in 1972 when I was second-year law student in Pakistan. Yes, I read Declaration of Independence, and I implore, we have our future generation and future leaders among us, please do read the Declaration of Independence and do read all 18 grievances. It has 1,472 words. Yes, I have counted them now. Read all 18 grievances and pay very special attention to grievance number 7, where forefathers of this nation complained to then king that he was not allowing enough immigration, because forefathers of this nation believed that immigrants, when they come to this land, make it richer, make it more prosperous, make it better. This was the 7th grievance of the forefathers. So the place of immigrants is set in the founding documents of this nation. I would like all of you, I implore all of you to read the Declaration of Independence and then read the Constitution. Yes, I read the Constitution in 1972. I did read Article 1, which embodies the role of Congress. Today you see on television our chief executive claiming, I am Article 2 president, I can do whatever I want to do. I implore him as well that before he reads Article 2, read Article 1 first. Read Article 1 first. I read that in 1972. Then I read Article 2 and then Article 3, and I understood how this civilized nation will conduct itself. Then I read the First Amendment. It embodies all the liberties and dignities that our Creator has bestowed upon us. Further amendments to the Constitution. I was so astonished when I read 13th Amendment, abolition of the slavery. So late, but it did take place. It was announced. So much work still needs to be done. I come from Virginia. I live in Charlottesville, Virginia, and I was there on 12th and 13th of August of 2017. And I saw with my own eyes what took place and how America and American values were disrespected. But we remained faithful to the values of this nation, the goodness of this nation. And then came election day. I went to vote. I had never seen, I have lived in the United States and have participated by voting since 1986. I had never seen that many people standing in line to vote with bottle of water in their hand, umbrella, sneakers and jeans. Most of them were women. They had come with the decision that we are going to vote, and they voted. I am speaking of Virginia. Same scene on the election day in 2018 and 2019. And here is the result, that after 23 years of Virginia being red, it turned blue. It did not happen. It did not happen without hard work. I participated in fundraisers, in campaign events throughout Virginia, and especially in Northern Virginia, where a majority of Muslims live. It was reported to me that Virginia, Fairfax, Virginia, Northern Virginia has approximately 120,000 Muslim sounding names, people residing that are registered. Prior elections, 1,000. maximum 2,000 people will come to vote. But this year, because of the good work, I'm about to reveal a secret. Good work of EMGAGE and other organizations inspiring Muslims to register and vote. This year, Muslims voted as they have voted never before. And look at the result. Look at the result of this election. Today, there are 3 Muslims in Virginia Assembly. And Virginia Assembly is majority Democrats. These Muslims are not only our representative, but representative of American value, the goodness of this country, the goodness of this blessed land that is our land. We must stand up, we must register, we must help others to register, we must share with those that do not participate in the political process. It is must to live in American democracy. If you do not participate in the political process, you have no voice. No one is going to be concerned about your well-being. The only passage, the only solution is to fully remain engaged, fully participate so your voice could be heard. The history of this nation's and the difficulty that other minorities have gone through, I will, because it is getting late, I will quickly cite some examples. In 1857, Supreme Court of United States, yes, Supreme Court of United States, it does make mistakes. Supreme Court of United States ruled in Dred Scott decision. That's the history of this nation that we must remember. That a former slave, Dred Scott, was not an equal citizen. Remember that history. That is the history of this nation that we must be mindful so that we continue to take precaution to preserve our rights and our dignity and our equality. Then in 1882, Chinese Exclusion Act was created, that the Chinese have done their hard work and they must leave United States. Japanese American Executive Order of 1942, where Japanese American men, sons and fathers served with the US Army in Second World War. Their families were in turn declared enemy of the nation. The Catholic Americans in the United States were declared spies of the Pope. They are not faithful, they are not loyal to US, United States of America. Irish American, I went to University of Chicago to speak. I was taken to a museum. I saw with my own eyes the posters that were placed in the museum now, thank God, said Irish need not apply. That is Irish Americans. They organized themselves, and within 30 years of those signs, United States elected first Irish American President John F. Kennedy. So politically organizing can change the fate of the community. Jewish American. In 1938, a ship from Europe came and had 900 Jewish families in it. It was not allowed to land. It was returned. It was sent back. Most of the people on the ship perished. Move fast forward. Travel ban of 2017. Very few of you know. I filed a brief against the travel ban in the Supreme Court of United States. I have no hesitation to admit it was ruled against me. The Muslim ban was declared legal. But we have not stopped. We have continued to speak, continued to encourage each other. Today, coming to be with you is my 270th speaking engagement. I know my faith community and the decent people of this nation and this country are troubled. They watch television, they hear about the policies being announced, and they are troubled. I will tell you a short story at the end of my remarks, but let me first tell you that when difficulty comes to community, the solution is finding allies. Our elected officials sit with us. Let's make friends. Make sure when you handshake with them after I speak, before you leave, you shake hands with them to make friends. Join them, volunteer, contribute. Don't call it donation. It's not donation, it's your contribution. You contribute to strengthen each other. Find allies and remain together, and we will overcome this difficulty. Look, EMGAGE's great work, board and the wonderful folks that keep it together for us is being hailed in the halls of Congress. I was visiting with the senator in his office, and he mentioned to me that we really appreciate EMGAGE's work in defense of Muslims in China. If you hear on television and if you read in the newspaper the mistreatment, the violation of the basic fundamental rights of the Muslims in China, and you are worried and you say, what can I do? I wish I could do something. Well, here it is, your organization is doing something. It was instrumental, EMGAGE was instrumental in passing the Uyghur Human Rights Policy Act of 2019. Congratulations to the board and to the organization. If you listen and hear the mistreatment of Rohingyas, if you hear and you are bothered by the treatment of Kashmiris, the Palestinians, remember what to do. Make sure that you support the organization with generous contributions. Just simply feeling bad in your heart is not enough. The time is that we all become proactive. We don't have to go and make speeches, or we don't have to go and launch processions. That is, of course, that is also part of it. But at minimum, you can do, share your blessings with these organizations. I mentioned that organizations getting out to vote, volunteers throughout Virginia, and especially Muslims, made the difference. Today, Virginia Assembly recognizes the contribution that the Muslim communities of Virginia have made, various cities. I wish to share more, but time is short. I wish to share a story. I want each and every one of you, after you hear this brief story, in your most private moment, look in the mirror. Remember Kashmiris suffering, Palestinians suffering, Rohingyas suffering, Uyghur Muslims suffering, Muslims in America facing further expansion of the travel ban, and it bothers you. Your heart is troubled. In conclusion, I share a brief story. Most of you must have read that story, but in different words. The story is of King Namrud, a very cruel king that had decided that he is going to burn all the good people of his community because they do not serve any purpose. He said, I'm going to set the largest fire so that all of these people that are not with me are going to be burned. And the fire was lit. It became so ferocious that birds started to fly out of the forest, and they gathered outside, away from the fire. A small bird flies among those birds that were gathered and were just simply sitting and wandering and watching in sadness, not knowing what to do. This one little bird flies to the river, fills up his beak, returns and drops that drop of water on this ferocious forest fire. And these other birds laughed at it and then goes back. He's running back and forth and bringing a drop of water and dropping. These other smart, bigger birds laughed at this little bird and said, wait a minute, you think your drop of water is going to make a difference? The bird said, I know, it probably will not make a difference. But when I look at myself, when I stand before my Creator, I will be able to say I did my part. I want you to look at yourself in very private moment. Are you able to say, yes, I did my part, I did my best? EMGAGE is here to channel your energies, to channel your thoughts, to channel your concerns, support these elected officials, candidates, elected officials are among us. Make friends with them. Spread your wings. Your Allah has prayed, your Creator has placed you in this difficult moment for a purpose. I gave you example of other communities, how they have thrived, how they have come out of difficulties that they have faced. This is your turn. It will not happen without any effort. I have not slowed down. I had wonderful practice in Washington, D.C. Since 2016, I hardly work. The reason is that when I look at myself, I say to myself, have I done enough? No, one more flight, one more place to go and speak. Maybe that will change the course of the cruelty that this nation is facing. I am certain, I want to leave you with this hopefulness. I have traveled throughout the country. Entire nation feels the way you are feeling at this moment. Care, concern in your heart of the direction of this country at this moment. I assure you, I have done that exercise. I have read approximately 100 constitutions of different parts of the world, countries in different parts of the world. There is no other constitution equivalent to United States Constitution. Is it perfect? Not at all. So much more needs to be done, so much more needs to be accomplished, so much more needs to make it fairer for all of us. But that work has been halted. But it is up to us now to defend our Constitution, our constitutional values, our civil liberties. Look, after McCarthy era, people were very much disturbed and disappointed that what direction this country has taken. But that gave the rise to golden era of civil rights, where we all were uplifted in dignity, and we have continued to enjoy up until recently those dignities that were bestowed upon us. So task is yours. Thank you for being such a wonderful host. I am honored. Thank you.
Outstanding, sir. Thank you. Outstanding. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Wow. Thanks, Kazasab, for such an inspirational speech. I'm sure that most of us will remember some of his words because I was really inspired by what you said. At the end of the day, you're standing by yourself in front of your mirror and you're looking at within and what did you do? That's the question we'll hunt with you. Everybody had some tea, caffeine? Just wanting to know, because what's coming next, you will need some of that. We want you to be alert. In front of you, Yaman has put down this little envelope, and that's where we are raising funds for EMGAGE. This is a fundraiser at the end of the day, and everything that Khizr Saab said, to channel our energies, to engage with the candidates, we need to raise funds. We need to raise money. EMGAGE's funds come from two sources. One is direct donations, and one is through grants. A lot of times these grants are matching grants, meaning if you are able to raise a certain amount of money from the community, then that money is matched by the grantors. So that's why it's an ongoing effort, because that's what goes into paying for our staff. We are all volunteers, by the way. Everybody on the board is volunteer. We don't get a single penny. In fact, we put in money as donations. But other staffs who do a lot of work, I think Yaman was telling me she hasn't slept for 3 days or something like that. That's a lot of hard work, and they commit full time. So for that, we need to raise money, and to ask you for your donations, I'm going to invite my wallet friend. Farouk and I have known each other for a long time. He only calls me when he needs money, but you know, that's fine. It's been a Farouk, you come up.
Assalamu alaikum. All right, somebody lock the door in the back. My name is Farouk Mita. For those of you who may not know me, I'm one of the co-founders of EMGAGE, and I'm on the national board as well. I'm from Florida, but I currently live in Washington, D.C., and I want to just talk about a couple of things. This organization was founded here in Florida. Okay, this organization was founded here in Florida, but today, if I can have everybody's attention, please, I'm going to keep this short. We were founded in Florida, and now we're a national organization. And the way this organization is structured is deliberate. It's not by chance. We're in Florida, we're in Virginia, we're in Pennsylvania, we're in Michigan, we're in Texas. We now have a headquarters in Washington, D.C. This is all deliberate. We've been planning this out for many years, and it's because the states that I mentioned in this country are the most critical states in any national election, in any congressional election, and in any local election. I want to let you know that this started here, as many of you do know, actually. And you know, when we first started, our budget was like $5,000, and you know, pretty much Dr. Samina and Zaid Qureshi, give them a round of applause. They were our first donors to this cause back in like 2007. Now, I'm going to ask you for your financial support, but I want you to not think of this as a donation. This is not a donation that we're asking you for. We're asking you to make an investment. So I'm going to talk to you about making an investment. What are you investing in? Well, the number one thing that we're investing in is getting respect for our community in the political process. That's number one. Number two is, in order to get that respect, we have to do work. Respect doesn't come easy in this country, especially in politics, and it does not come for free. Now, what is the work? Our work at EMGAGE is done by professional staff. There's 3 of them that are here today, Wael, Yemen, and Olivia. They work tirelessly to do the work. What is the work? The work is knocking on doors, getting people to vote. The work is going to Tallahassee. The work is going to Capitol Hill in Washington, meeting with our members of Congress, our state legislature, our local elected officials, and talking to them about what issues matter to us, which will result in changing policy. Respect, getting professional work done. Now, our budget in Florida, just so you all know, to do all of the great work that you see happening, costs about $350,000. Now, obviously, we're not trying to raise all of that here, and Riaz mentioned how that money is raised through donations and grants and things like that. But we would really like to make some headway here in reaching that number. Now, I'm not going to call on people and call out people. I'm not going to do that. But look, in Florida, we have met with every single member of Congress in our state, either here or in Washington, and we've talked to them about the Rohingya. We've talked to them about the Uyghurs. We've talked to them about criminal justice reform. We've talked to them about climate change and how these affect our communities that we live in, how they affect the Muslim communities, but there is a cost. To do the organizing work in South Florida alone costs us about $70,000 a year. Now look, I know that there's people that are here today that can write a $10,000 check. I know there's people that can write a $5,000 check. I know there's people that can write a $2,500 check. I know there's people that can write a $1,000 check. I know there's people that can write a $500 check. We need all of it. We need every single person here to fill out a pledge form and give whatever you can to help us reach that number that helps us do the work in South Florida. Yemen, Olivia, and others are going around and collecting the pledge forms. Now, we do legislative work. We go to Tallahassee. We're doing Muslim Capital Day in a few weeks. We go to Washington. That work, just in Florida alone, costs us about $75,000. Just those two things combined cost us about $150,000 almost. Because we have to hire people to do the work, who build their careers with us, who work with us, people like Yemen who've been with us for 5 years now and has literally built a career working with us. We provide them healthcare benefits. We provide them 401k now because we want them to be able to support their families doing this work for the community. These are careers. Now I'll give you some comparative notes. EMGAGE's national budget is slightly over $1 million if you add up all of our chapter states. The ACLU alone spends $1 million a year just on lobbying. That's it. Not all the other work they do, the legal work, just on lobbying in Washington. That's it. The NRA spends about $4 to $5 million a year just on lobbying. That's it, just on lobbying. Forget about all the other things that they do. The Muslim American community has one institution nationally that does the work that I described earlier. It's this one right here. There's no other game in town. There isn't. Our community spends about $150,000, maybe $200,000 a year on lobbying, on issue advocacy. That is peanuts. It is nothing compared to the resources that we have and the vast amount of work that needs to be done. Now, Mr. Khan talked about that little bird. In his story, the little bird was alone, right? We're here in a room full of little birds. And if we all work together and we all chip in monthly, give us $10 a month, give us $100 a month, give us what you can, but join us. Be a part of this fight because we cannot do it without you. We cannot do it without the help of our board, the help of our staff, and amazing surrogates like Mr. Khan, and we can't do it without all of you. Now, I'm going to end shortly. The other thing I really want you to think about is 2020, and back to the idea of respect. Who can tell me when Donald Trump in 2015 became really famous, when he became like all over national TV? What did he say?